For the last month, I've tried really hard to get into foldable phones by using this Google Pixel Fold. And I really think it's changed how I view foldable phones and whether or not that I personally think that someone should even consider them. So let's talk about it. Right now, there are two major types of foldable phones that are popular right now. Ones that flip like an old Motorola Razr, where a compact square flips open to a more rectangular body, like the Samsung Z Flip line, or the new Motorola Razr. That's right. Razors are back, baby. We're in weird times. And then there's the opposite. Foldable phones that flip from rectangles, like this one, into more squarish displays, like the Samsung Z Fold or this Pixel Fold. It's kind of like comparing a Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP to a Nintendo DS in terms of the way that they fold open. They both fold in half, but in different ways. We're focused more on the larger foldables for this video, since that's what I've been spending most of my time with. Full disclaimer here, Google did send over this Pixel Fold, with no guarantee that I was going to make any content related to it. They didn't know I'm making this video and have no influence on how this video even plays out. They're finding out about all the positive and negative things I have to say about their foldable device and Android foldables in general at the same time that you are. So wave high. These larger foldable phones generally have two different modes. First, they have a standard smartphone mode that's usually a screen that's roughly the size of your standard smartphone screen. And if you use this screen, the phone feels like basically any other phone. Then once you unfold the phone, you get what I consider its tablet mode, with a massive display that will actually trigger apps to use their tablet versions if those exist. Basically, the idea of foldable phones is that this single device could replace the want or need to own a phone and a tablet. You use a form factor that's right for the task that you're doing in that exact moment. And of course, that depends on person to person, but this really makes doing certain things easier and more enjoyable depending on the task. I typically save the front screen for quick activities, right? Things that require very little effort or attention, like answering a quick text, switching music tracks, Googling that question you had, or reading an email. But if I plan to sit down, doom scroll social media, read manga, play games, stream videos, answer important emails, basically whenever I'm really ready to just focus or immerse myself, I flip it open and do what I gotta do. If you're the type of person that reads magazines, comics, or manga, you can see content that's supposed to be spread into 2 pages all on the same screen, which is absolutely amazing. This is typically reserved for tablets. You can truly multitask by splitting the screen in 2 and have 2 different apps, one on each side of the display, in their smartphone layout. Apps that have tablet versions will take up the entire screen, giving you more information on the display at once. Watching YouTube videos or streaming in bed now means you have a larger screen to look at whatever and whenever you want to. So now you can enjoy your guilty pleasure of ASMR keyboard videos on a bigger screen. It really is like having a tablet and a phone all in a single device. But there are also some really unique things that you can do with foldables too that you can't do on other devices, whether that be smartphone or tablet. If you wanted to watch things on your phone without holding it, you'd normally have to get some sort of kickstand, right? This phone, obviously, if I just put it down, like, I can't really hold it up. It just falls back down. With a foldable, you can actually open it up like a laptop and have video play on the top half of the display. You can take a photo with the camera in this laptop-like state and it'll be steady. And then you can edit those same photos that you just took on the same device, but with the larger display. So this means you don't have to move the photo to a different device with the larger display, because the larger display is here and it is a touchscreen. If you're a frequent traveler, you can take your Pixel Fold, or basically any other folding phone, with you and enjoy all of your movies or TV shows on a bigger screen without taking along a tablet that you would have to shuffle out of your backpack on a long flight. That's also one less item you have to worry about getting through security at the airport. I genuinely can never figure that part out. Sir, do you want my tablet in or out of the bag? I don't know. Please tell me. I need help. Well, there is a crease that goes down the center of the internal display, and while it can be distracting, you do forget about it over time. And it's not noticeable when content is on the screen, except when it's a little off axis and the sun hits it just right. But your experience might be completely different depending on the type of folding phone that you do have. Each one displays different characteristics for their internal display's creases. On the Pixel Fold, it's honestly not too bad. I kind of just forget about it. Okay, so far I've listed nothing but the positive aspects of using a foldable phone, to the point where it almost feels like an ad. But I wanted to say the negatives for this part of the video. The big one is price. There aren't too many foldable phones on the market, but flip style foldables cost around $1,000, which is in line with other premium smartphones from different brands. Some are a little cheaper, some are a little more expensive, but generally around $1,000. And then there's these phone tablet hybrid foldables, and these cost $1,800 USD. That's pretty pricey. And yes, that does make sense because you are paying for this large foldable internal display alongside your typical phone. But for the price of this Pixel Fold and Samsung's new Z Fold 5, you could go out, get a Pixel 7 Pro, Google's latest and greatest non-foldable smartphone, and a Pixel tablet, and still be way under the cost of this singular device for similar levels of performance. I think that at such a high price, it can make it hard for some people to justify trying something new to see if it works, because a lot of people are not used to or want to pay $1,800 to see if it might work out for them. They want to make sure it does work out for them. Smartphones are now 3 to 4 year commitments for some people, so making the wrong purchasing decision could be bad now because they're stuck with it for a long time before their next upgrade. People who have the luxury and funds to upgrade every year or two won't care because they can't afford it and afford to switch devices whenever a shiny new one comes out. So it's a lot easier for people to just get the latest iteration of their favorite smartphone rather than risk it on a foldable device that may not work out best for them. The second thing is, despite being on the more expensive end of the smartphone market, they usually lag behind their flagship non-folding counterparts by just a tiny little bit. If you're not a spec nerd that looks at every little detail, this won't matter, but foldables usually suffer a little in camera specs and battery life. Foldable phones are physically bigger than other phones, especially when you have it wide open like this, and just by sheer dimensions if you add everything up. But if you think about it, they have extra parts compared to regular smartphones too, like a hinge, and the glaring one, a giant internal display. These take up a ton of space, meaning you can't just fit a large camera sensor that takes up a lot of depth and width in it, and also there's less room for batteries overall. And you need a larger battery to power this larger tablet-sized screen. But for my own usage, the photos out of the Pixel Fold are pretty good. And despite having a giant and bright display, the battery lasts me more than a day, so I can't complain about those aspects of it at all, at least not on the Pixel Fold. They seem more than good enough. As for my last gripe about foldables as a whole, apps really need to be optimized for these form factors. Foldable phones make up a tiny piece of the smartphone pie. Like, it's barely there. Built-in Google apps do work perfectly on the Pixel Fold, but third-party apps, well, they're hit or miss. You could argue that this is because app makers are prioritizing their phone apps because tablets are usually an afterthought, but this impacts how the person who's spending $1,800 experiences and feels about your product, and it makes the product feel a bit incomplete. Take, for example, this Shonen Jump app. If you're trying to read a series, you open the app and it only takes up 2/3 of the entire screen. Okay, that's fine, whatever. So you open the first chapter, and now the whole screen is filled up. That's great, I really appreciate that, but whichever route it does decide to take, it's just not consistent. And you can see this with other apps too. Some apps, they don't have the optimized version, it just gives you the smartphone version on one side of the screen. You're already paying a premium for this larger screen, but a significant number of apps just straight up don't support it properly. The Z Fold 5 actually doesn't have this problem because it uses a different aspect ratio from the Pixel Fold. The portrait mode of the Pixel Fold is actually the landscape mode of the Z Fold 5 and vice versa. So the crease on the Pixel Fold is this way. If this was a Z Fold 5 screen, the crease would be this way, up and down. As more people start to use foldables with these form factors, a lot of third-party developers will start to care more about how their apps look on these foldables. That's not a given though, but more likely to happen with a larger user base than just a few percentage points. So what are my final thoughts, at least in 2023, on these foldable smartphones? Well, honestly, folding phones I think are super cool. I was really skeptical going in and trying to see if it actually provided me a significant benefit over a regular phone. And after switching back to a regular phone, I found that I really missed having that larger screen to consume my content. It completely replaced my tablet when I was using it and didn't really change how I use my phone regularly otherwise. It just gave me more options on how I could view things on my phone. It made media content more immersive, and it made multitasking much easier. But in the same vein, third-party apps need a little bit more work, and these larger phone tablet hybrid foldables are expensive, making it hard to recommend to the average person. It makes the flip style foldables a lot more easy to recommend because the cost parity is non-existent. They cost very similar to their premium smartphone counterparts. Don't get me wrong though, I think tech enthusiasts and productivity focused people are going to jump on these soon if they haven't already. But once prices on these go down to that $1,300 to $1,500 price range, where it's a little bit more expensive than premium smartphones, I can see a lot more people from the mainstream crowd starting to consider these. But as they are right now, it's mainly an early adopter device with a bunch of really cool features with the potential to be amazing. I really like this Pixel Fold. It's really close, at least to me, of being the perfect foldable. And that's why I think the future is bright for foldables, and I can't wait to see what these look like in the future. Am I switching to foldables permanently though? Well, let's just say, I've been thinking about it. Anyway, what do you personally think? Are foldables the future of smartphones? Or is it a different form factor? Have you ever considered switching to a foldable phone yourself? Or why haven't you? Leave all that down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and well, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.